creating encounters has actually become one of my favorite aspects of DMing. To start off though, I was always super confused and I couldn't really find any good content or videos kind of explaining the general outline of what an encounter is supposed to look like. I knew one when I saw it, but I didn't understand how to describe it down to its base level, essentially. I still struggle with balance and combat and stuff like that because I am a new DM, but narratively, that is where it clicked for me, which I guess it makes sense because I write stuff, but it made so much more sense thinking of it through story rather than through gameplay, even though gameplay comes along with it, just as a byproduct. One of my coworkers, something he said made it also click, was that encounters are problems that the players run into that are open-ended, not a one-size-fits-all like a linear video game. Allow your players to feel free to try stuff and reward them for it. And when he said that, I was like, oh, okay. So basically, you're creating, I don't want to say choice in a vacuum, but sort of. Depending on the game you're playing, it could just be choice. But depending if you're playing a super narratively driven game, choice in a vacuum. But in my first session, I was terrified, trying to keep everything kind of on like a tightrope of just like, oh, but the story's gotta be good. They gotta be enjoying the story. Oh. And kind of once one of my players asked to do something that would throw that off, I decided to just kind of go for it. I was like, yeah, do it. That's the point of this game. And did it throw everything off kilter? Yes. Was it better for the game? Definitely. And also better for everyone involved. It got me to practice by improv, which was honestly the most fun I had probably playing. And it let me flounder to some form of success. Not saying I'm a good DM, I'm just saying like for a first session, I considered successful. And narratively, I approach encounters as these characters, whether they decide to do something that essentially opens the gate to them being here or not. It might never occur, or you can move and frame the encounter around different ways to almost have them enter anyway. It's like, for example, there's an orphanage type encounter that I have in the game that I have cooked up. There is a default way for the players to actually get introduced to that and start this encounter. But it's set up in a way where, say the characters leave that city or completely go away, I don't need to just throw that out. I can just shift the setting of that encounter to wherever they are and have that encounter still happen. So I think having adaptable introductions to encounters are extremely important. And then when they're actually in the encounter, have it so there is choice and consequence, where if they talk to this guy, they might get something, or they might get attacked, or if they kill them, how do the people around react? And who are the people around? What standing in the city or town do they hold? Do they have power to possibly make life for the players hard? If so, would watching people be brutally murdered and burned alive in front of them, would that impact how they view this party? Stuff like that. And even just having simple outlines where, like for example, in that same orphanage account, I had where they killed the people that come and almost approach somewhat hostile, angry, aggressive. The party technically would be in their right to kill them. But if they do, the kids in the orphanage will essentially, their reputation will go down, and over time, these kids are going to try and essentially make the party's life out. But on the flip side, if they help or they do something good, they don't hurt anyone, they just become nice. Hey, ideas I have for that encounter. But in the moment, I'll probably improv and do extra or different stuff. It's more just guidelines that I can either decide to follow or not follow in the moment. So I think it's how I have adaptable gates or doors into getting the players into the encounter. Have choices in the encounter that will affect the outcome. Whether it be if the players kill someone, how do people react? If they don't, how do they react? And anywhere in between. And then on post-encounter, what does that mean for the party, for the people around them, for the people in the town, anything like that? How did their actions affect the world around them? And how would you like those consequences to play out? To me, that might sound obvious to a lot of people, but to me, that took quite a little while to figure that one out. And once I did, it felt like I was actually playing the game with them instead of being the tour guide, like watching them play. So yeah, that's my advice on encounters.